right in the face of homeless veterans, right in the face of the 40% of homeless people who have jobs, right in their fuck.
Wow. Sorry, what did like refugees do to homeless veterans? Why is this a zero-sum game? I'm sure some of you know Jimmy Dore. He has a very right-wing audience and has been cultivating a right-wing audience for some time. He's basically the useful idiot, where he's like, "Hey, I'm not a right-winger like y'all. I actually am a leftist, but I'm here to shit on the shit libs, and I hate the shit libs and the Democrats, and they're fascists and Nazis, and they're Hitler. And so because they have all the Hitler particles, I'm here to tell you about that." Definitely not a right-winger, though. No, I'm not a right-winger, but I do occasionally enjoy right-wing ideas and have kind of changed a lot of my own beliefs to reflect a lot of what the same thing the right-wing culture wars are talking about. For some reason, I'm now anti-trans. For some reason, I'm now anti-vax. For some reason, I'm now anti-mask. For some reason, I'm now anti-immigration, is the latest one.
That's you want me to talk, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
So Blank says, Jimmy, your flip position on immigration is hypocritical, especially since you called AOC out for her inconsistency on immigration policy. Do you want government? Okay, I could see where you would say that. It's become clear. I used to think more along the lines of AOC, but it's become clear to me that this open border policy is intentional. And it's coming from the billionaire donor class that runs everything. And I'm not demonizing the immigrant. I'm demonizing the system that creates those people for being desperate. Us putting sanctions on places like Venezuela that creates 7 million people leaving that country and coming here. And then Joe Biden not doing.
But then, sorry, the ones who do want to come to the United States because they're fleeing, say, extreme poverty or gang violence that, yes, you're correctly pointing out, could be exacerbated by the U.S., are they allowed to come inside the country, or are they then filthy immigrants? How does that work?
Anything to, and then when they get here, giving them a debit card for $1,000, $51 million in one city alone.
That's a weird thing to say, because you don't get to have both. You can't be like, hey, by the way, the United States and its imperial ambition has really fucked up a lot of countries in South and Central America, like Venezuela, for example, and our embargoes on their oil production and their inability to sell oil to other countries without getting in trouble with the U.S. really does hurt their economy. That part is true, yeah, for sure. So if there's people who are fleeing that, then suddenly vilifying them on the other end, where it's like, yeah, and that's why I hate immigrants. Sorry, I hate immigration. Or sorry, I hate Joe Biden. Something. I don't know. But when the immigrants come over here, they're just given free monies. Yeah, each one of them gets like $1,000 and they get free health care and they get all these benefits. And yeah, and they're taking it away from every day. Oh, shit, I kind of sound... you know what? I hate the U.S. Imperialism. It's the imperial core I'm after.
Right in the face of homeless veterans, right in the face of the 40% of homeless people who have jobs, right in their fuck...
Wow. Sorry, what did... like refugees do to homeless veterans? Why is this a zero-sum game? That's really fucked up. That's, again, these are just incredibly standard right-wing talking points, right? Like, how dare you immigrants spit in the face of the homeless veterans showing up here, fleeing persecution, then you show up and you take the monies right out of the pockets of the homeless veterans. It's like, well, how about multiple things can be true at once? How about that the United States absolutely does and should be housing their homeless population, regardless if they're veterans or not, but they should, just because they are the wealthiest country in the world, use that wealth and try to build housing for the unhoused. That's something, so that point, good. Next one. Yeah, so if someone is immigrating to the United States, if they happen to be a refugee, whatever their case may be, they will need some assistance once they first arrive to the country in order to, say, learn the language. If they don't speak English fluently, be able to start to get a job, start to find themselves housing. Otherwise, yes, you will have a large population of people who arrive in a country who A, don't have a place to live, B, don't have a job, and C, may not even be able to communicate generally with a lot of the people in the country. Immigrants typically contribute a lot more than they take away from a country's both economy, from the diversity that comes with having different ethnicities and cultures in your society, all that kind of stuff. Immigrants are a good thing, net benefit to your country. So to vilify them like this, again, it's just right-wing stuff, right?
Face. As Cat Williams said on Joe Rogan, they're saying this is what we could be doing. Look at what we could be doing. And so,
but see, it's not immigrants that aren't doing that, right? That's why it's so weird to be like, hey, people are saying that I flipped on immigration because I'm talking about how Joe Biden's destroying the country by replacing voters with all of these filthies. But that's not it at all. I hate it because of the way the United States and its imperialism treats other countries that force them to have to immigrate. But then when they get here, they get handouts, filthy handouts, and they take away from the homeless veterans. And wait, what does that first one have to do with the other one?
AOC just ignores it. So she went from crying about those people to just ignoring it. So she hasn't come around to my point of view.
What does this have to do with AOC? Why is it always about AOC? I swear, days since Jimmy Dore has mentioned AOC, it's like going to be a 0 on that meme counter. Like fucking every time. Is AOC talking about me? I don't know, but hey, she doesn't care. I care. I care deeply. What does she say? I don't know. Did she talk about me? Did she mention me? Maybe I should reply to her again. She's still not responding.
She's just ignoring. They're still putting people in camps and all those things but they have a flooded border.
Right. I think you're close to completing a single thought. You're on your way. Either way, yeah, it is pretty disgusting, not AOC specifically, but the fact that like the crisis at the border wasn't effectively solved. There are some improvements for sure. The separation of the children from families. Now they're put into the same cage, but they're still putting the families in the cages themselves. But the cages are plastic looking as in terms of the photos we've been allowed to see. So that part sounds slightly better. But yeah, people should still continue to be horrified by what is taking place. And yeah, it does seem at times that liberals, especially shit libs, as Jimmy calls them, are much angrier with the crisis at the border or the treatment of refugees or immigrants when it happens to be Donald Trump in power versus when it's Joe Biden. That part, yeah.
And so she's the one who's just completely dropped the issue. I haven't dropped it. New information has come to my attention, and when new information comes, I've changed my position on this and my opinion because of this new information. How many people need to go to the border for you to realize and show you how many people? RFK, Elon Musk, Joe Biden himself.
Sorry, what do these men have in common? Impregnation fetishes, potential ties to Jeffrey Epstein, that kind of stuff. Well, I guess Joe Biden would be the exception to that one, but Elon and RFK Jr. for sure. I mean, RFK Jr. he's just revealing all kinds of information, unprovoked. You'd be interviewing him, and it's like, so what's your favorite kind of cookie? And he's like, well, I do remember a cookie I quite enjoyed on Jeffrey Epstein's plane on my 3rd or 4th trip there as I was heading towards Lolita Island. And it's like, wait, what the fuck? No, it's not actually go on. What else you got to say? What else is going on in your brain right now, RFK Jr.? Sorry, what? This is something that even true believers like MAGA, I'm going to drop everything I'm doing. I'm going down to the border. We got to stop this. Marjorie Taylor Greene told me that the illegals are flooding in. Like when you see what they've actually stated afterwards, they seem to not have the same amount of energy that they did, where it's like, yeah, I went there and it's not exactly the way that it's being sold to me on like Fox and everything. It was less like a whole bunch of able-bodied men just like charging at a wall and like falling over each other World War Z style as they try to clamber over each other, and more just sad. It just seemed like the conditions are very hot. There seems to be a lot of desperation, very, very hungry and thirsty people, women and children, trying to have a better life. And that's kind of what I saw when I went down there. Less that there is this, again, crisis at the border that is just strangely of monumental degrees around elections. That's when the crisis really gets crisisy.
The Border Patrol, I'll show you a video. I'll show you later in the show. The head of the Border Patrol, who just retired, said Joe Biden hasn't talked to him once. Not one time.
You can't do this, by the way. The first half of this video is like, oh, by the way, so people are saying that I'm kind of like going really far right on my whole immigration policy and I've reversed my stance. That's not it. See, the way I figure, it's the U.S. that's bad and imperialism bad, and the U.S. Imperialism on countries like Venezuela have basically caused a lot of people to try and enter the U.S. And then it's like, okay, you're setting this up. Where are you going with this? And those filthy migrants, they come here, they're charging the border, they're trying to get in through, they give them cash, they take that cash directly away from the homeless veterans. You got to realize what's going on. I was like, yeah, again, these are just, again, beat for beat, right-wing talking points. Just embrace it. And I know it's probably not as lucrative. That's why, right? Not as, like, Jimmy Dore wouldn't be as Jimmy Dore if all of a sudden it was like, hey, this is yet another right-wing pro-Trump, anti-vax, QAnon light conspiracy theory style show. It makes a lot more money to be that kind of like, hey, I used to be a leftist and I still am. I'm definitely super leftist. But you're right, all of you. All of you right-wingers, alt-right, far-right, Christian nationalists, all of you extremists, you were correct. And this is someone on the left saying that, right? So you better like, subscribe, and support me on Patreon, because again, I'm definitely validating all of the worst parts about you.
Him or Kamala Harris. So anyway, so I see why you could say that, and I just explained to you why you're wrong. Okay. What AOC was doing was using it as a political.
Like, again, when you go to his channel, it's the same thing, right? The Intercept rips off Grey Zone's reporting. Sydney Sweeney's boobs and wokeness. Wokeness bounced out. Whoa. Finally, we liberated wokeness. These machines kill wokeness. The rules don't apply to me. Matt Gaetz exposed Lloyd Austin's vaccine hypocrisy. Has Elon Musk saved Twitter? How? I ask you. My pussy in bio. My pussy in bio. My pussy in bio. It's a good thing John Cena brought wokeness back at the Oscars, though. You know, boobies took wokeness away, and then cock hath restored wokeness. It's science, really. It's whatever you want it to be.
Football.
Both of your hands into the sky as you gather energy from every living being in the known universe to create a giant ball of energy, a bomb of spirit, if you will, and throw it at that like button as it smashes into it and then eventually explodes.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Can you please hit the like and subscribe button and maybe leave a comment? It really does help the videos out. But first, the people who produce everything you see before you and make this entire channel possible: Amazing Fletch, Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Salim, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Puppy, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby K, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Demel, Trevbot.exe, Words Greenwood, and Travis McClinton. And also, thank you to every other person who helps fund this show. Their names are on the screen right now. It would not be possible without every single one of them. We cannot thank you enough. And if you want to join the Patreon, please come to patreon.com/theserfs and help us exist.